Netflix's drama series The Madness follows news pundit Muncie Daniels, Coleman Domingo, as he is framed for the murder of a white supremacist. After being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Muncie is forced to go on the run and prove his innocence, ultimately leading to The Madness's shocking ending. Despite The Madness's lukewarm reviews and middling 56% critical score on Rotten Tomatoes, the drama series is thrilling and creates several twists that will keep audiences guessing, especially surrounding the deaths of major characters. From The Madness' first trailer, the Coleman Domingo-led series keeps audiences on the edge of their seats to find out what happens next, with episodes often ending in cliffhanger or shocking reveals. However, because Muncie himself often does not know who the different players are, it can be difficult for viewers to figure out who each character in The Madness is as well. This means that for each character that dies in The Madness, it is worth looking a little deeper to learn exactly who they were and why they were targeted in the murder-framing plot. Mark Simon. Mark is the first person to die mysteriously. Mark Simon in The Madness. Mark Simon is the first person who dies in The Madness, beginning the events that cause Muncie Daniels' life to fall apart. When Muncie goes to a remote cabin in the Poconos to work on his book, he meets his new neighbor, Mark, while out for a run. Later, after Muncie's power goes out, he walks over to Mark's house to ask for propane but finds Mark's body being cut up and disposed of. When the killers see that Muncie has found Mark's body, they chase him into the woods, and they dispose of the body while he is hiding out. All the events in The Madness stem from Mark's death and Muncie's accidental encounter with his body. Muncie did not know Mark's name at all until doing research on him after returning home. After reaching out to his widow and being approached by the FBI agent, Quinones, Muncie learns that Mark Simon was a militant white supremacist. Throughout the show, there are several groups that could have wanted Mark dead, but he was ultimately killed because of his attempt to back out of a business deal involving the mysterious shell company Revitalize, which had political ties. Point 2. And was a member of a left-wing gun commune. And looking for Muncie. When Muncie runs into the woods after finding Mark's body, Ant is one of the masked assailants who chase after him. Muncie hides in a swamp while Ant looks around, and, when Ant is facing the other direction, Muncie comes out of the swamp and kills him by stabbing him with a pen. Importantly, Muncie stabs Ant once, then drops the pen on the ground and runs away. Ant's death is the only one in The Madness that occurs purely out of self-defense with no prior interaction with Ant, since, at that point in the show, Muncie does not know why anyone is after him at all and is just scared for his life. Though Mark was the first person killed, Ant's is the first body found as he is being used to frame Muncie. Muncie's pen is found as the murder weapon, and Ant's body has multiple stab wounds to make it look like Muncie went crazy and attacked him rather than killing him in self-defense. As the show continues, Muncie comes to learn that Ant and the other man with him, later identified as Don Sloss Jr., were members of a far left-wing radical anti-fascist gun commune, so it makes sense that they had targeted a fascist like Mark Simon. 3. Laura Jennings. She knew too much about Revitalize. After Muncie learns that he is being framed and realizes there is more to the story than he knows, he is approached by Laura Jennings, who says she can help. Laura Jennings was an internet personality and a commentator who was later revealed by Mark's ex-wife to have been working with Mark Simon. Before Muncie can arrange a meeting with Laura, he learns that she had a heart attack and died, but he knows that the heart attack was just a cover for her murder. Though it is not clearly stated who exactly killed Laura Jennings, it is safe to assume that it was Julia Jane or another killer working for Revitalize. Laura and Mark were planning to expose how Revitalize was tampering with elections across the country and had killed people who disagreed with them. When Mark's ex-wife Lucy hands over the information to Agent Quinones, he and Muncie finally put the full picture of Laura's death together. Later, with the help of Laura's widow, Muncie is able to continue Laura's plan. 4. Stu Magnusson and his bodyguard rule. Deaths 4 and 5 occurred in Episode 5. Stu Magnusson gets shot in Episode 5 during a meeting with Muncie. Muncie initially thinks Stu is behind everything, but realizes only moments before that Stu is being played as well. Both Stu Magnusson and his bodyguard, Raul Diaz, are shot by Don Sloss Jr. on the orders of Julia Jane. Muncie witnesses the murders and is able to escape the scene without being shot, but he ends up looking guilty since he had previously accused Stu of being involved in framing him. For the first half of The Madness, Stu Magnusson is a fairly mysterious character, whose motives remain unclear. He meets with Lucy and also had clear ties to Mark Simon before his death. Stu was involved in intervening in elections across the country in order to further his own agenda. When he starts to question whether he knows the full story during his meeting with Muncie and Julia Jane, it becomes clear that he was never the mastermind, he only thought he was. He was ultimately killed because he knew too much and began to question his authority in the situation.